Welcome back, everyone, to the School of Greatness podcast. We have the legend, Ryan Blair, in the house,
sir.
man. Good to see you, brother. Love you too, man. Super pumped for this.
Yeah.
You had a book that came out a number of years ago called Nothing to Lose, Everything to Gain, number one New York Times bestseller. Been a big hit. A lot of entrepreneurs have read this book over the years and said you've inspired them to launch businesses. You've got a new book out that's out right now called Rock Bottom to Rock Star. Make sure you guys go and pick this up right now. Everything this guy does is really inspiring, really powerful stuff. So make sure to go grab this right now.
And did you notice on the back?
Yes.
There's a couple names on the back.
There's a couple names on the back.
The first name there.
You're not going to be able to see this, but the back of it, you're going to have to go buy it so you can see it. The back of it has my testimonial on here.
Well, you inspired
my endorsement.
me.
Yeah,
you inspired me, man. Like
appreciate it.
When we in our hikes and the first podcast we did, and all the times we spent together on the cruise ship at Summit. I mean, we've crossed paths a number of times for a number.
We've bonded many times.
Yeah, it's cool.
For those that don't follow me on Snapchat or Instagram stories, me and Ryan go on like every month or two. We go on a hike.
Yeah.
And we learn a lot when we connect. I feel like you're one of my biggest mentors from how much you share and how much you open up and talk about, your struggles, your opportunities. You have a company called Visalus. This is one of the products. It's a neon energy drink, but you sold this company originally for almost $800 million, correct?
I sold Visalus for, just to take a step back, I bought the company in 2005.
Yep.
So I've always been a bit of a venture capitalist. I got beat up by my venture capitalist pretty bad on the sale of Sky Pipeline when I was 24.
Okay.
I sold the company for round numbers for like $25 million. And the venture capitalist got 24 million of it, so to speak.
Sure.
So then I started Visalus because I saw two great entrepreneurs, and they had a great doctor and a scientist behind it. I invested in them, and I sold the company in 2008.
Okay.
And in 2008, I sold it right before the recession hit, and I structured a deal where I had a 5-year earnout. In 2008, we were doing $500,000 a year in EBITDA, which is profit for those people who don't know. And by the end of the earnout, I was doing $97 million in EBITDA per year.
Wow.
So the price tag on the end of the sale was $792.4 million.
Amazing. And then you sold it and then you bought it back.
Yeah. So I sold it. Sales dropped. It wasn't the company that bought its fault, but it wasn't the same.
Sure.
And we had to grow up. Myself and my co-founders made a lot of cash, and we were living a life like a rock star. And in my book, I talk about some of the mistakes I'd made being a rock star. Like, you don't need to buy a jet if someone else has one.
Right. You bought a jet, huh?
Yeah, I bought a Challenger 300, which is a great jet. But unfortunately, one of my partners is in Miami. The other one lives somewhere in New York, and I live in L.A. And so when I wanted the jet, he had it. And so, next time around, we'll just use a NetJets or something like that.
Gas money is expensive.
Yeah, it's
picking a friend up from
$4,700 a flight hour.
Wow.
That was my total cost on it. So
wow, crazy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you say is the one of the biggest mistakes you had, or lessons you learned, I should say, in that period of buying it and selling it?
Yeah. Well, the momentum is an interesting thing. So when you start a company, you have this dream like that all of a sudden sales start happening in your sleep. And you don't know when it's going to hit. And a lot of people call it a tipping point. Oh, I get the chills just thinking about this. Like, I remember when I was like, it's a tipping point. Like, it's happening.
Like, there's money coming in automatically.
Yeah, it was but no one else saw the grounds, like underneath it's like a tidal wave, right?
Yeah.
Like, I saw the inertia happening, but the water still looks the same. And then all of a sudden the tipping point hits and it just breaks your barriers and walls and crashes things. And
what was that like? What was happening, or what was coming in during the tipping point?
Well, I'd read Malcolm Gladwell's book. We all have, a lot of us, right?
Yeah.
I've always dreamed about it, and all of a sudden I'm like, I'm having one. It's happening, and you know it before. So I, as a CEO, and I'm a data guy. I started my career as a software engineer. So I'm looking at analytics and data, and so I'm seeing data that's like, this is momentum.
Wow.
And the thing that I learned is once you get momentum, it does all the work for you. And so, unfortunately, the biggest mistake that I made, it's like I equate it to, I love basketball. It's like once I realized I could jump really high and I could play really good, then I just started showing up. I didn't practice much. I didn't prepare. I didn't discipline myself because momentum did all the work. I remember in July 2012, I sold out American Airlines Arena in Miami during the Heat in their first run to the championship.
Sure.
And I sold more tickets to that arena than the Heat sold to their championship series.
For an event you did?
Yeah, for an event. And it was my birthday, and I walked on stage, and the whole place broke out in a happy birthday song to me. Right? I didn't have to do anything. I just showed up. Right? Now that I bought the company back, I got to work. Right?
Right.
I don't got momentum right now, so I got to start it all over again. And next time I get it, I'm going to make a lot smarter decisions.
Wow, man. Some fun facts about you is you identify yourself as socially awkward. Is that true?
Yeah. Who told you that?
Found it somewhere online.
Yeah, I'm a Cancer, and I don't know much about this, but there's half of me that's completely introverted, and there's another half of me that's completely extroverted.
Right.
And the duality between the two is a bit of a conflict. But if you were to invite me to a dinner party, as you have, I would ask you every detail about everything, like who's going to be there, what's the cuisine, what's the blah 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 blah, to convince myself to go. Now I have been working on just going. Right. You know what I mean? Because I know it's a good thing, but yeah, I'm socially awkward.
What do you what are the greatest skills that you have that make you a great CEO? This socially awkward skill obviously is working for you.
Yeah. Truth is, I don't think I'm a great CEO. I really don't. I know some great CEOs, and I've learned from some very great CEOs. My team around me makes me look on occasion like a great CEO. And I've figured out what my weaknesses are, and I've got a team that knows that, and they know what my strengths are, and so they put me in the game where I'm strongest, and I defer to them where I'm weak, and they forgive me. Like on the bottom of my strength list is consistency and communication and empathy, right? And so things that are pretty important when you have a company with a lot of people, and so they'll be like, Ryan, that doesn't sound very empathetic. And I'll be like, because I have empathy in me.
Yes.
But it just isn't one of my strengths, right? So then I go, okay, let me reset. And I'm not going to tell this person,
to go screw off or whatever.
Yeah. I have the ability to be a bit like what's his name, Bobby Axelrod in the movie TV show Billions.
Okay.
And I try to check that. Like I don't want those types of problems, right?
Sure. Yeah. That's good. So they forgive you a lot then, huh?
They forgive me every day. I get forgiven for something from someone, and most importantly, I get forgiven for the man upstairs every day for not doing my best.
What do you forgive yourself for?
That's a good question.
Or what have you not forgiven yourself for?
That's even better. What have I not forgiven myself for? I've let my ego get the best of me a lot, and I'm still working on that, trying to understand it. And I've let my competitive spirit get the best of me a lot, where I'll out of this innate desire to compete, I'll compete with people I shouldn't. I think that there's probably a few weaknesses that I'm still working through, or perhaps I was insecure and I shouldn't have been. I should have been more secure about that stuff.
Yeah.
Like for example, if I'm doing too much of the talking at a dinner table, it's not because I want everybody to hear me talk. It's because I'm trying to seek approval or something like that. And so I'm trying to figure out that balance between my success and people knowing it and people not knowing it. Because now I walk in a room and a lot of people know it, but my blind spot is I don't know that they know it. So I just want to share everything. And they're like, dude, I know all about you. Quit sharing it.
Yeah.
So it's weird. The other night I was with my friend Terrence Jenkins, and I was at his house and had a bunch of these celebrities over. And I go meet somebody who's a famous rap star. And I'm like, oh, nice to meet you, blah, blah. Yeah, I wrote a book. He's like, I know exactly who you are, man. Quit talking. You don't have to tell me.
Right.
Like, let's talk about art. Let's talk about other stuff. And I was like, I guess people do know who I am. So it was a weird thing. And he knew who I was because of my friendship with Terrence.
Right.
I was famous.
Yeah. Interesting. Why do you think, I go through experiences like that as well, but why do you think we have that, or we go through those experiences as human beings? I'm sure people relate to that.
Yeah. Well, where I came from, I never dreamed in a million years that somebody had asked for my signature on a piece of paper and that mattered. But I'm a man of the people, right? So I don't see myself as some rich person or some wealthy person or famous person or whatever I am, or a New York Times bestselling author. Like they did it all for me. It's them, not me. It's them buying my book and taking action on it that has put me in this position. And so I I refuse to adopt the personality or the ego that this is me doing this. This is somebody else. And when it is me, I just give the credit to the man upstairs because he gave that to me, and I'm very spiritual on the subject. So that's how I keep my ego in check. Is like I'm a vessel. That is all I am. I'm a messenger. So
another. I don't know if this is
I'm nervous. Lewis knows me better than a lot of people, and so he probably, in preparation for this, made some telephone calls.
Exactly. Here's another fun. I don't know if it's fun fact, but it's another interesting moment. Is that your mom was on life support for 2 years after a major skull injury, but then she had a recovery, correct?
Yeah. I write about that a lot. It was a very dark period for me. And what's interesting is during that was the darkest period of my life. And I learned a tactic called compartmentalization.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I don't have that.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to really not have the emotions from something bleed into other areas of my life.
I've seen a lot of other entrepreneurs do it. And I've seen marriages, like, for example, if a marriage fails, I've seen the business fail too. And and that's the worst thing that could happen for your kids, right? Like the business has got to survive to pay the bills. Like, you know what I mean? And you can't let, it's a tough thing to do. It's only good to do when you're at war with something. You know what I mean? It's not good to live in a compartmentalization mindset forever. It's a coping strategy psychologically. But you get into a point where it's almost like a zone where you're able to, open up a compartment, do what you need to do, close a compartment, open up another one, do what you need to do, close it. And then you get intolerant of anybody wasting any of your time, right? And it comes to a point where you're like, look, my mom's on life support right now. And you want to tell me you stubbed your toe, right? You know what I mean? Like, you don't make a lot of friends in that moment. But I remember when my mom was in a coma, one time I blow off steam. I went out to a club and went to go have some drinks, and the waitress knew me, and she goes, "Have you been crying?" And people didn't know what I was going through. And I was like, wow, man, like, yeah, I have been crying. I just saw my mom. I could cry right now talking about it.
Right.
Yeah. But that was a tough experience. And it's still tough now. It's funny, she's in bad shape. I don't know how much time I have left with her, but I know that I get a little bit of time every day when she can be awake to take the call. I have to find the window because she's only got the ability to recall and remember for, say, an hour or two a day. My family has to pay about $1,500 a day to keep her alive. Wow. But she's happy. Like, she's happy. She watches a lot of Netflix. Yeah. She got to catch up on 2 years worth of movies and TV shows and everything she missed. Sure. Yeah. So, but she's severely handicapped. But it's weird, your perspective. Like, a lot of people would be like, pity me, my mom's severely handicapped. I'm like, I'm just happy my mom's alive, right? So it's weird how life can give you kind of different perspectives.
I mean, I've got a similar experience. My father was in a car accident 11 years ago. To next week, it'll be 11 years. And he's around. You can have a conversation with him, but he's not fully emotionally. He's not my mentor anymore, like the father that I knew for 22 years. And for, it's a challenge as well, because when I call, he forgets a lot of things. He always asks the same questions. So it's like, that, man. But in some ways, I feel like it's made me so much more driven to leave a bigger legacy. Yeah. And to support him how I can and to thank him by living a great life and doing my best. Do you feel like...
Yeah, so it's one of my philosophies is it's not what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, because there's a lot of things that don't kill you that don't make you stronger. Right. But what weakens you can strengthen you. Right. So like that must feel like a weakening moment when you're on your phone with your father. Yeah. And you might, I'm sure you probably hang up that call and have to do some reflection, as I do when I'm with my mother. And then all of a sudden you get some strength from that weakness, like that feeling of, man, like I'm going to prove to him or not to him. I'm going to make him proud is probably what you say. Mm-hmm. Right.
He's not even aware of it. Yeah. He's not even aware really what I'm doing that much. I mean, he kind of gets it, but he's not really aware. But I'm like, doesn't matter whether he's here or not here.
His spirit's getting it.
Yeah, he's getting it for sure. Yeah. Do you feel like you're, and what about your father? Yeah. Is your father in your life or?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I've forgiven him 100%. He disappeared at 13. He was a very violent man to my mother. He's heavily affected by the Vietnam War, and he was a veteran, and he let that get the best of him. And that's why I have such an open heart toward veterans and military families, because I understand firsthand what that can do and how traumatic that is. Now that's an excuse, in my opinion, right? He didn't seek the help that he should have sought. And I mean, and there's help out there, and you got to seek it, and he didn't. And it destroyed his life. And now he lives. He recently started I'll tell you a funny story. I was in Israel and I was playing basketball.
I saw your whole journey. Right? Yeah.
I'm playing basketball and I sever my patella tendon. For those of you who don't know what this is.
I'm not laughing, but I shouldn't be laughing, but it was funny. Yeah. It's just funny because we couldn't hike for like 5 months because of it.
No, I'm finally walking again, working out again, hiking. I feel great now, but I couldn't walk. Yeah. And all of a sudden I see on my Facebook feed, like somebody says, I'm really worried about you. Are you okay? and it's my dad. I hadn't heard from him in a long time. I was like, huh. That's ironic. Like, I would have loved him to say, I'm worried about you at 14, at 15, at 16, at 17, at 18.
Sure, yeah.
Now
when you were in a gang, when you were into juvie.
When I went to juvie, when my mom was in a coma. Would have loved a little shout out then.
Right.
And I've forgiven him. And obviously, I appreciated that, he's come to terms that he wants to be a father to me. And so I've yet to set the reunion. I plan to. But I'm a little bit, I don't know exactly how to do it. Yet, but we talked about it. He's willing to, I'm willing to, but I want to make sure I set the right environment so that way I don't have anything to get off my chest with him because I put it all in my books. Yeah. He knows exactly how I feel because he's seen it on TV. He read about it in People magazine. I mean,
sure.
I feel a little bad that the guy gets beat up so much, but he made some bad decisions and it made me a stronger man.
There you go.
And I'm going to take a stand right now for all those fathers out there that are taking action on behalf of their children no matter what, right? Even if they're going through a tough divorce or that, their counterpart, it didn't work out or they have a lot of resistance or conflict or tension in the relationship. It's real easy when that happens for a father to disengage from their son. Yeah. And that's when you can't. That's when you got to double down engagement. And
why do fathers disengage so much in that area, you think?
I can't imagine I have a son, Reagan, 7 years old, and me and his mother didn't work out. And a lot of times we have conflict, and it's not easy, and we try not to get him involved. But, there is no way, I guess one of the things is I look at it and I say, I'm playing for that boy's opinion of me when he's 25 or 30. Right? He's 7 now. I want him at 25 or 30 to know the dad that he had at 7, right? Yeah. But he might not know it now. Right, but
he may not appreciate it. He may not care.
He may be influenced to believe that certain things are not real or whatever the case is, and then also inversely, and it's funny. I started reading him a bedtime story the other night, and I grabbed the book, "The Monk That Sold His Ferrari." Have you read it?
I haven't read it, but I've seen it.
Yeah. Well, I have a Ferrari, and my son started getting attached to it.
Oh.
And he's like, "Dad, will you take me to school in the Ferrari?" And at first, I'm proud of myself. I want to do it, and then. Yeah. Then I heard him bragging that he had a Ferrari to his friends. And I had to let him know, no, you don't have a Ferrari. Right? I got a Ferrari.
You ain't got squat.
Yeah. And, I earned that, and it was a way for me to reward myself, right, because I'd achieved something. And so I'm figuring out a way to detach him from materialism, even though I do have my own, love of toys and things like that.
But how do you do that as a father? I mean, you sold a company for almost $800 million. You're doing extremely well right now. You live at the top of Hollywood Hills. You have an amazing house. White beach sand up by your house with a nice pool, hot tub, cars.
Yeah. So one thing is,
how do you instill those skills into someone?
Yeah. Well, I use a lesson plan. Like I'm a teacher. That's all I am. Yeah. That's why I love writing books. Is I believe that I should be teaching in a school somewhere, and I can't wait for the president to call me and let's make that happen because I have a lot to teach. I teach through entrepreneurship. I teach through Visalus. I teach every single day. So I love teaching him.
Right.
So how do you do it? You try to, one of my friends, his name's Alex von Furstenberg. He is the son of Diane von Furstenberg and the stepson of Barry Diller. He's on the board of IAC. He told me, talk about the value of things, not the cost. Right? Not the price, right? So talk about the value.
So give me an example.
For example, the Ferrari. Why is that valuable to me? Right? Not that, hey, this Ferrari is a $333,000 car or whatever I paid for it. And it goes, but it's like, what's the value of this? The engineering behind it, the value of it, right? Not the price of it.
Yeah.
And like for example, if I say, oh, that costs too much. No. That's not valuable for us. Why would I say, if he wants a toy, he always likes video games and stuff. He wants to buy an in-app purchase. And these in-app purchasing people,
it can be expensive now.
They know
$50 to $100 some of them, right?
Like, I caught him buying it was hundreds of dollars worth of stuff, and I'm like, what? That's too expensive, like $60, right? Like, why would I do that
for a game,
right?
Yeah.
And he goes, you got $60, and the truth is, I do,
right?
But I wanted to explain to him that's not valuable. Like what else could we do with $60, right? Than a fleeting moment in a video game. And there's so much more you can do. I bought a place off the grid in northern Arizona so that way I could teach him how to conserve water, pick up trash, like teach him how to integrate with nature, not just live in this castle that I built. So
right. Yeah. It's nice. I love your space.
Yeah, thank you. I'm sniveling here because you made me start to tear up talking about my mom. Thank you for pivoting.
Sure,
me.
sure.
Thank you for pivoting me to something I'm very happy to talk about, which is my son.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What do you think his biggest challenge is going to be growing up?
Well, he has autism, so today he told me, he said sometimes your friends don't show up, and I've taught him how to make friends a lot. He used to be very sad about the fact that kids would make fun of him because he's different. He's got special needs, and in the school he has what's called a BI, which is an adult assigned to him to help him cope and understand how to integrate, and
It's just hard when you're in school if you have
yeah,
anything that's not normal, right?
Yeah,
or
and the kids see that. Like, why does Reagan have an adult with him in class? Now, we had an early intervention. His mother is a rock star mom. She's there for him. We got him an advocate. We've done everything we can. My son is in the public school system, and the reason why I did that is because I wanted to be an advocate for other families to utilize the public school system resources. Because I could have put him in some, very expensive private school and got, and so forth. And obviously I have more means, and so I have an advantage for him. And I want to then, that's why my foundation gives to autistic related causes and so forth, because I want to help families without means.
Yeah.
But I don't know what his biggest challenge is going to be growing up. His challenge is going to be if he wants to be president of the United States of America or the next Mark Zuckerberg, because I'm going to figure out a way for him to do whatever it is that he wants to do. So his challenge is going to be
making the decisions.
Yeah, his challenge is going to be that I'm going to help him take these weaknesses and turn them into strengths.
Sure.
And where he's going to apply those strengths in the place that he loves the most.
Right. I like that. What do you think? I think there's a lot of people today that want to be entrepreneurs and that want to be a CEO and they want to be a leader of something. They want to build something. What's the biggest misconception about being a CEO or being a leader of a company with 50 to hundreds of thousands of people, whatever in that range? What's the biggest misconception? What's the biggest challenge about being a CEO and a leader today?
Well, I'll tell you the biggest challenge I've had, and I still have it, is when you, for example, you're in a relationship with someone and they come home and they have their needs and their wants, and you have 1,000 people that have needs and wants, and your lifestyle that you live and that sand beach that you have is built by them, not you, right? And so you need to find people in your family that understand that we are servants, and we are here to serve them. And when the company calls, we go help. We do whatever it takes.
There's no off hours. There's no.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta try to find a way to recharge. But a lot of times people don't understand what it's like to lead a lot of people, and sometimes when you lead those people, you come home and you're not there because you might have had to lay off a person today. You might have had to fire a friend. You might have had to. You might have had to have a very uncomfortable conversation. I woke up to a lawsuit. I mean, there's things that hit you when you get big and when you run a big company that suck. I mean, day in, day out. So, a lot of people think that it's glamorous, but there's a lot of, when I was at the White House and I was in the West Wing and I got to see the president's staff and I got to see the man work. And I was like, you have no idea what this
pressure.
Guy, and I'm going to criticize him. I mean, I may not like his policy on certain things, but this guy's working harder than me, and he's taking, he's getting more gray hair. And
he's getting hits by everyone.
Yeah, everyone at all times. And in fact, one of the staff members told me we have a national security threat every single day that the president has to review. I'm at 365.
Oh, sure.
Right? And you imagine.
What do I have to take action on or not take action on? What's serious enough?
Yeah. Oh, I get the chills just saying it. And having seen that man's work environment, and I named my son Reagan, so it tells you that my politics were Republican until the party became what it is today. Hopefully somebody fixes it. Maybe I'll have a role in politics in the future, but I got to tell you, man, I'm not happy with the party as it stands today. But that said, I saw the president work, and I would hate to have his job, right? That's not an easy job. And he's
not glamorous at all.
It looks like
there are moments of glamour, right?
It looks like he's doing the best he can. And I say that as an observer. It looks like he's doing the best he can. So I'm doing the best I can. I don't always get it right, but I utilize the data that I have in front of me today and the values that I have, and I make the best decision. But sometimes I don't see all the data. Sometimes, the two decisions I have, both of them suck. I just take the best of the worst.
Yeah. How do you, come home at night and cope with it, whatever's happening? I mean, again, the pressure, the money involved, the people's lives involved.
Yeah.
How do you how does a leader, do you think a leader should handle these pressures?
Yeah.
Like, what should we do
Yeah.
as we continue to grow? And, you talk about don't believe in your own hype. Can you integrate that in this as well?
Yeah. Well, that's how you cope with it. Don't believe your own hype. One of my friends, he's a avid, he's a professional poker player.
Yeah.
And he's really good at it, and he's also a great businessman. And he's like, when you're on a run, you got to be prepared to start having some losing hands. And to use a baseball analogy, right? Like if I show up to bat and I'm hitting 1,000. Right? It's real easy to be like, I'm the best baseball player in the history of humanity. But eventually your batting average is going to even out to 400, and that's fine.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't understand that. Business is like, you're going to have a batting average, right? So one of the things that I tell people in my book is pay attention to your timeline, right? So I started my career 20 years ago in October, which is when my book comes out. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. It's my 20th anniversary as an entrepreneur.
Wow.
And if you look at it over 20 years, it looks like a hockey stick. It looks great. But man, some of those years and some of those moments in between, it looks like it's dark. Right? There's been times where, I've had to spend a week reflecting and contemplating and trying to check my ego. And one of the only reasons why I was able to get that big exit, when the guys at Blythe that bought me tried to have me fired, I write a lot about that. The only reason why I have the money I have and the company that I have today is because I said, you know what? I'm just going to let these guys walk on me. I'm going to let them spit on me. I'm going to let them do this. And I'm just going to let them do it because I know in the long term I'm going to win.
Right.
And I told one of my friends, and he told me, his name's Cameron Forney, if you're out there. I told him when this was happening, I'm going to buy him from the inside out. They don't understand that I have a contract right now in my hands. I'm going to build so hardcore that one day it's gonna turn around. I'm gonna own that company, and that's what happened.
Right.
Wow. So, now that said, not everybody has that kind of structure, and I had some great advisors. I've had great attorneys, great team members, partnership with Todd Gergen and the Gergen family. I've been blessed to be at the right place at the right time. And when I see a mentor like you, I do everything I can to add value and then get my investors returns.
Yeah.
So I've gotten people. One of my friends loaned me $100,000 when Visalus needed money, and I gave him back $3.7 million in cash without a contract.
Right? He gave you $100,000.
And I gave him $3.7 million cash back, and he gave me the $100,000. He said, "I know you'll take care of me. We don't need to do a deal." And I took the percentage of money that I earned with this $100,000, and I gave him $3.7 million.
Wish I was that guy.
You got $100,000 on you?
I'll give you $100,000 right
now. Nowadays, I have enough money that I don't need.
You don't need that. You need investors.
Yeah, and I know what I'm capable of. I can do a lot with $100,000, and so
sure.
Exactly. Back then I wasn't sure what I could do with it. Now that I know I could turn that into a lot, I don't. I'm a little more.
Sure.
I'm a little smarter with my investment deals.
Who do you think? This might be not a politically correct question, but men or women, who do you feel have better attributes in general to lead?
I think women are better leaders than men for sure, 100%.
Why?
Well, I guess a woman, and I'm a science geek, so you're gonna have to forgive me here when it comes to, So one, I'm very spiritual, but I believe in evolution because I've studied. In fact, when I was in community college, I thought I was going to become an archaeologist. I love studying sciences and all kinds of sciences.
Yeah.
And if you look at how we're designed as a species, men are designed to hunt and bring back that food to the village. Women are designed to lead that village, to take care of those kids and children and so forth, take care of the elderly and make sure that they serve the village. And that's what a leader should be, is a person who serves the village. And some of us men, we're designed to go hunt. And that might be that we're great at sales, or that might be that we're great at, at being singular in our way. Now, you can unlearn that type of stuff because that's as much culturally as it is genetically. But there's an element of genetics that plays into it, I believe. There's
a wiring, right?
It's transferred. I mean, behaviors are learned and transferred. Genetics are transferred. It's like, why would an animal be naturally afraid of a human if it's never seen a human? It's because somehow, that information was transferred in the genes. So there's information transferred in the genes in our evolution that I think makes women better leaders than men.
Have you ever thought about having a CEO, a woman?
Yeah,
lead?
of course. 100%. Some of my top executives in my company are women. In fact, my team is mostly women in terms of my inner circle.
Same here.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I can be that, I have a very emotional side to me. I'm a mama's boy. I was raised by two women, but I also have a very dominant masculine side to me where I could be highly competitive and perhaps my blind spot, of not having empathy or not understanding, some of the dynamics that are at play. And so my best advisors are females.
Yeah. I want to shift a little bit and talk about masculinity.
Yeah.
Because you went through a phase in your life where you lived the rock style lifestyle.
Yeah.
Right.
I still live it. I just
Right.
live it a little more healthily.
A little gracefully, right?
Yeah,
but there were months or years where you were going out and partying and with
100%.
girls you can't remember names probably, and you know, having sexcapades and experiences.
Not sexcapades.
Okay. Experiences that were.
Yeah, I mean, listen. I've taken it to I have values. I was raised spiritually. I've taken it to the edge of my values.
Sure.
So
you're on the line, right?
Yeah, I know where the other side is, and I chose not to go there.
Sure. Why?
I know what you're thinking. I told him there's some questions that are off limits.
That's all right.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for honoring that.
Sure. I'm curious about, I want to talk about masculinity and what your definition of masculinity is, how you were brought up thinking what it meant to be a man, and if it's evolved over time now that you're a father.
Yeah, so I was brought up, my dad was a terrible example of that subject. He would make misogynistic jokes. And my mother, she went through a lot of hardship. She was beaten. My dad would use her as an example. If I was at the dinner table and my mom talked with her mouth open, he would smack her in the face in front of me. Oh, I mean, hard. Like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, it would be like the hardest slap in the face to have a lesson for me to see. You don't talk with food in your mouth, right? That's the guy that I dealt with. And he'd make, all kinds of jokes about, women should be in the kitchen and blah, 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 blah. And so, he beat my mom up so much that I basically disavowed anything that he told me at all and hated every philosophy and everything that he gave me whatsoever. Although he did give me a couple things I give him credit for, which is he had a level of work ethic and ambition at the time that, that showed me a way. And he was a smart guy in terms of his intellectual smart, but then emotional intelligence was zero. So my definition of masculinity is probably vulnerability, right? Like I'm a completely opposite of most. Like I think the most powerful thing a man can do is hold back his tears because he feels so much pain and feels what's going on in the world, right? And he's holding that back because he needs to show strength, but he feels it, but he wants to be strong and he doesn't want, like you heard me, you saw me holding back tears, right?
Yeah.
So my definition of a man is one that is vulnerable, but is strong, right? One that is empathetic and tries to understand the situation, but knows when to take command and make it happen if it's needed. One that defends his family, one that makes sure that his children are fed no matter what, right? One that makes, that's a leader of his family and a person perhaps that has dedicated their life to service. When I meet a serviceman or a police officer, my brother-in-law was a former chief of police. It's like I thank them. You know what I mean? I went to Colonel Ernie Banks at West Point's ceremony of retirement where they made him a general. That guy's a man. That guy has sacrificed his entire life, given service, been in combat. Like my definition of a man is a person of service, right? And a person who doesn't. A lot of people just take from this society. And we live in such a beautiful society. It's easy to do that. My definition of a man is somebody, whatever they take, they give back tenfold.
Yeah. Was there ever a period in your life where you felt like you weren't living up to that definition?
I think that the interesting thing about values as you grow is you change those values. You have a set of values that were given to you by someone else.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden you get intellectually smart enough to start asking, are those really my values?
Yeah.
Right? Or, the rules of our society are made up of people no smarter than you. At some point you realize that. And then you agree, hey, I agree with that rule, or I agree with that value. And when you agree with it, then you'll check yourself and hold yourself to it, but you'll never be 100% there, right? So the key is when you're not there, you go, I'm not living in my values right now, and you try to move back toward it. When you're there, you feel good, but you might have 10 different values, and so you got to constantly adjust them, right? Because sometimes I might say, well, I have a value of family and spending time with my son, right? That's part of my value system is quality time with my son is a value system of mine. But then all of a sudden I'm on the road for 5 days, Well, I'm FaceTiming with him, but that's not quality time. Plus, he's not really engaging unless you get him kind of in your arms, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then I say, wait, I'm not living my values, and I have to make these adjustments and shifts. And then the interesting thing is when you declare a new value, right? New value, like you declare a new value system. Like I'm gonna not get caught up in my own hype, right? Well, the day you declare that, you're caught up in your own hype. The reason why you declared it is because you're caught up in your own hype, right?
Yeah.
But then you're doing it as a way to hold people for people to hold you accountable, especially if you post it on Facebook or you let your friends and family know. You're saying, hey, I want to be held accountable to this new value. And then you start to go through the slow process of knowing when you're not because you're aware and then trying to move toward it. But you can't just declare a value and expect to live it that second.
Yeah.
You declare a value or you adopt a value or you realize that you haven't been living to one. And man, all the time I've had to check myself for that.
Yeah.
Generally, when you're in these rock bottom moments, it's because you're not living to some sort of value system that you should. And you don't realize it because it might be something that knocked you off that value system and you don't understand why.
You're not aware of it.
You're not aware. You don't know.
You're just frustrated. Why is my life sucking
digging.
right now?
You just keep digging the hole.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't understand. The hole gets deeper and the hole gets deeper and the hole gets deeper.
Well, for someone who's not aware of it, how do they get out of it then?
Well, for one, if you're in a hole and you're feeling pain all the time and you're broke, and I've been there. I talk about it in my book. I went bankrupt. I've had all kinds of challenges. You got to basically realize I'm in a hole and I'm going to quit digging. Right. And so it's like, and everybody talks about like hitting bottom. The title Rock Bottom was inspired by J.K. Rowling when she said rock bottom became the foundation for which I built my empire. Right. And she tells us, she tells a story of which her sitting in a cafe. She's got a baby. She can't afford, been denied by publishers and she's writing Harry Potter. Right?
Crazy.
It's crazy. So it's like, my goal with the book is for people at a rock bottom moment to know like, this is it. This is the greatest moment of my life. I can change right now. I just got to declare it to be that moment. Otherwise it's going to happen. You're going to keep digging and you're going to find that bottom somewhere. And my hope is I have a sister that's on and off the on and off the most wanted list for the county we grew up in. She's never found the bottom yet, but she's gone. And I've tried my best to help her. But I know she's going there. And so I wrote this book because I want to stop people from digging, have them, to each of us, my rock bottom moments might not nearly be as bad as someone else's. It doesn't matter. Pain is only, the meaning you give it, right?
Yes.
I want to help people stop digging and start, growing.
For those that have a family member who might be in a similar situation to you, where it's just like, man, they just never figured it out. They keep making that same mistake. They keep being a victim or suffering or going through pain or challenge after challenge. It doesn't matter how hard you work to be there for them. Yeah. What advice would you give to someone?
I wrote my book for that, and I'll tell you a story about Nothing to Lose, which is fascinating. And I get these emails from all around the world because the book still sells well, and it's all around the world. And I got an email the other day from a woman, and it's a touching story. And I plan to read it to camera later, but she'd just made the decision to commit suicide. She was a survivor of 9/11. She was in when the World Trade Center collapsed. She was a part of that. She lived, and she had all this huge regret that everybody died. Yeah. And she started doing drugs. And one night she's doing drugs, and she has a bottle of pills, and it's over. And she goes to do her last line before she says goodbye, and she sees underneath it is an orange cover, and it's my book. And she picks it up and starts reading it. And so, anyways, after she read the book, she made a decision that she was going to live. And I that's why I write these books, right? Because I know how hard it is when you're in a position like that, and so I guess I don't know the answer to the question of what do you do. Get him a book, put him in front of find a YouTube inspiration, find out something they're going to resonate, put music in their ears that's going to help reprogram them. Because these people are just they've adopted bad programming, and they just got to get reprogrammed somehow, right?
It's challenging.
Yeah,
I've always found that the people closest to us may never listen to us, but maybe they'll listen to someone else.
Yeah, that's it. No,
So give them a catalyst. Yeah. Give them the book. Get a copy of the book for them, or whatever, a podcast, like you said, or something that could be a potential.
Yeah. At my events, single mothers show up with their kids. And they bring me, they put that child in front of me. Yeah. I'll give you a story. It's interesting. So, Akon, the world famous singer. Uh-huh. So his mother is one of my team members at Visalus, and her son is Akon's son. And she came to me and said, my son loves your book. You know, we signed one to him. I'm like, of course. Like anytime I have that privilege to do it. And the other day, you know, Akon came in the office and, you know, and it was just a special moment to see a single mother bring her kid, you know, that she wanted to show another reference to, because most of the time kids don't listen to mom, and kids don't listen to dad.
Absolutely not.
I certainly didn't. So you got to get them in front of other people, and then, like, you know, when you do that, a magical spark might occur, and that's what happened to me. Is my mom got me in front of a guy I would listen to, and as a result of that, I had a new model, a new example.
You had a mentor early on that really helped you, right?
Yeah. Well, at 17 years old, my mom put me in front of a guy that I'd finally listened to. I wouldn't listen to teachers. I wouldn't listen to police. Right. And all of a sudden I'm sitting in front of a guy and I'm like, I'll listen.
You respected him for whatever reason.
I respected him. And he had the right style, right? It's like,
you relate to him, right?
Yeah. He was disarming. Like, I was a thug. I was mean. I was a fighter. He was a flamboyant, laughing, big-eared, short, bald guy that had all this love, you know, out of him and just wanted to help. Yeah. And like, so I was like, this is interesting. I'm going to listen to this guy. It wasn't some authoritative figure trying to tell me what to do and tell me that I'm about to ruin my life. And it wasn't my mom harping on me. And all of a sudden I listened to this guy and I became a student. And like the old proverb goes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, right? And that's that. So you just got to put your students in front of as many teachers as you can until that student is ready and that teacher appears.
Well, you're a pretty big teacher right now to so many, even though you're still a student in a lot of ways.
I'm learning.
But what would you say is the biggest conflict that you face on a daily basis, an internal conflict?
Yeah, internal conflict. When I'm not with my son, you know, I wish that I could have found a way to have him in one, you know, have one household. And, you know, he'll, you know, yesterday he said something to me like, why can't we just all live in one house? And I got to explain to him these types of things, right? And
you know, his mom and him.
Yeah. It's like, why do we need two houses? Is, you know, his logic.
Back and forth.
Like, doesn't make sense, you know? And I bought him a really nice house because I wanted him to know that mom and dad are equally important, and, you know, one's not. I wasn't married to her, and so I went out of my way to give as much as I possibly could to make sure that my son and his mother had a great environment, and that you know, and then, you know, and that he would obviously see my environment. But that said, that's the biggest conflict is like, you know, because a lot of people don't understand this. When you're a single father, you know, and I go, like, for example, if I take a day out of Los Angeles to go on the road, that's a day I don't see my son. If I only get him half the time and I'm taking one of my days, now I'm down to like a third of my time with him. And if I take 5 of my days, now I'm down to 10%. I get to see my son 10%. And so if you have a family together with a child, it doesn't make sense to you. Why wouldn't you go on the road for 5 days or 10 days? Because you get to see him the other 15 days or 20 days of the month. But if I go on the road for 10 days, I only get to see my son for another 5 days that month. So that means that month I saw my son for 5 days out of 30. That's not enough time to develop a young boy, right? He's 7 years old. He needs those lessons that I give day in and day out. So the biggest conflict that I have is I want to go on the road and see my people. I want to go help and lean in and work with their families.
Yes.
And then the other conflict is I can't take my son out of school because he's an autistic child. Like, every minute counts right now for the future.
To develop
his neural connections are wiring. His esteem is getting created based on the friends that he has. I pull him out from his friends and his teachers and the IEP group that serves him and helps him, and that's damaging. So like, that's my conflict, right? You know, so, you know, every time I go on the road, if I do give a speech, like, that's taking something really, really out of me, and I'll do that. I'll make that trade if I know I'm going to make an impact, like a real big impact. Right, because I know my son is going to see that example one day and say that was an impact. But when I do that, if I won't do it if it's, you know, if there's no real impact associated. And then, you know, a lot of times, sometimes people, you know, they'll host an event or whatever, and they'll ask me to come speak, and I'll come speak at it. And I'm like, man, they didn't take as much time and put it into this event as they should have.
Right.
Because I took all this time away from my son to go there, and you didn't figure out how to properly introduce me or properly set right? You know what I mean?
Exactly. No, it's the worst.
You've been there, right?
It's the worst, man.
Right?
It's like someone who doesn't even know who you are as a note taker. It's like, okay, come on stage.
Yeah, right, and you're like, you know, I put all this work in preparation, time away from
flew
family, flew here, and, you know, to give an impact.
Yes.
But that, you know, I love impacting people And I love, sometimes I'll bring my son out on stage and I'm trying to teach him.
Yes.
He's gone out a couple of times. One time I was at an event, and I was telling the story, and he's backstage, and he refuses to come out with me, and I'm fine with that. Like, I'm like, all right, I'm going to go up there. And he's like, I want to come, and he's like, nope, not coming, right? Stage fright.
Sure.
And I'm like, all right, no problem at all. I go out there, I'm talking. I started talking about my son, and all of a sudden he runs out from the crowd, comes up on stage and gives me a hug during the speech.
That's cool.
And then runs away. and I was like, I remember it was one of those moments where I just stopped and I like teared up, and I was like, guys, give me a second here.
It's got to be the best feeling.
Yeah, well, it was a shocker. Like
Wow.
it was a cool feeling. And a lot, there was, I don't know, 10,000 people,
Sure.
that went into a standing O.
That's cool.
And it was crazy, but it took me like 2 minutes to regroup to live that moment.
Sure, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's more challenging to sustain a loving, committed relationship as a leader of a big company or as a CEO? And you connect with a lot of CEOs who have big companies. You're in that space. What's the theme? Do people have the common challenge, or they have it figured out, or
Well, sometimes people are lucky in that they find their soulmate early, and so they're part of the process, and so they've been there since the beginning, and
they've helped them build.
They helped them build, and they're that anchor windward for that CEO. Like, for example, my mentor Bob Gergen, the Wharton School of Entrepreneurship is called the Gergen School.
Wow.
His wife Pam, she's a brilliant intellectual. She held down the house while he was out there building the empire. They raised two great children, Todd Gergen, one of my very best friends, and Rob Gergen, Todd's brother, also a close ally and confidant of mine. And it's like they had that foundation where they did it together as a family, and they created a very, very successful family. And the two kids, Todd and Rob, have taken that on.
Sure.
So that scenario works really well. I didn't find that early on. So, obviously now in dating, it's difficult to explain to somebody, hey, you can never be my first priority until, we figure out a whole lot of stuff together. First thing we got to figure out is, if you like the way I parent and if I like the way you potentially parent. Second thing we got to figure out is if you understand that I support not one family, but I support 1,000 families. And that, at Christmas time, those presents are either under the tree or not, based on the work that we're doing here right now, and you supporting me to go on the road, or you supporting me to do this, because those kids are getting fed on Hanukkah or Christmas or whatever the holidays are as a result of their employment with me. And if I make a bad decision, it hurts them.
And you got to have the clarity, the energy, the focus, the passion.
Yeah, I can't have somebody texting me during a board meeting saying, interrupting me, and I've had those situations where, it's like it's a tough juggle. So last time I was on your podcast, I told you my biggest challenge was relationships. This time
2 years later, it's the same thing.
You know what? It helps me write, so I write about this stuff.
That's good. Yeah. It's good to talk about.
Yeah, they say all art comes from some sort of internal pain or internal frustration or internal desire, right?
What do you think it's going to take for you to resolve this, or to find a partner that is a great match?
Yeah, it's not to all the women that I've ever dated, it's not your fault. It is me that is the problem. I'm clear on that now.
Yeah, because you care more about the business, your vision, your son than a partner right now. But although you're conflicted internally because you know what that brings value, the fulfillment that brings, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I know I will be at my best. If the book Think and Grow Rich has a chapter about sexual transmutation or something like that. So the energy that I have to put into dating takes away from my energy, to build. So I know
so much energy.
Yeah, a lot of it. And so right now I've in writing the book and everything else in my life, I've just said I'm not gonna pursue that right now because it's too important for me to educate my son. It's too important for me to to build my business, and I'm in the middle of a turnaround at Visalus, right?
Yeah.
So right now I got to go out there and I got to serve other people. I can't be focused on me.
Yeah.
So it's been weird. I quit dating people. I quit even engaging, right? And I've actually started having women become my friends now, which is really cool. And I'm not dating whatsoever. So after the book's done and all the other work I got to do, who knows? Maybe I'll get back on Match.com or something like that.
I like it, man. Do you feel like having a partner will propel you into another level?
Yeah, 100%.
Really? The right partner, I should say?
Yeah. But it's tough to figure out, There's a
It's
lot.
not so black and white, huh?
Well, it isn't, because I'm a math guy, right? One of my philosophies is the path is all math. And if you just do the mathematics about, the population, the age, the requirements of emotional stability, intellectual stability, beauty, values, value system around subjects like money, around children, around this, that, and the other, you got to find something that mathematically is a relatively tough equation.
Because love is not enough sometimes, right?
You can't love somebody that I don't know. I don't know if you can love somebody that doesn't match your value system. It's easy to fall in love, and then
you can love them, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah, I love
as efficiently as it could, right?
Yeah, I love everybody. That Will Ferrell movie, what's it called? The basketball one, where he plays a basketball player. I forget what it is.
I know what you're talking about, though.
He had this thing. It was the phrase was ELE. Everybody love everybody.
Yeah.
I love everybody. But to have a partnership is different than my family is a business. Everything I do is a business. And so to have a partnership, it's got to run like a business. And my dream, though, is I'll tell you this. My dream is this. I want to make enough money and find the right partner that helps me give it away. So I want to make so much money, and then on the other side of the family, that I have a partner that's helping make sure that we give it away with the same level of intentionality, with the same level of effect and the same level of focus and commitment. So if I make it, she gives it away, and we come home over the dinner table and we talk about how I helped the foundation and what the foundation did today, and it's a team.
Yeah,
like that's my dream. But that requires me to make a whole lot of money, and that requires somebody to understand my philosophy and value system around it.
Yeah,
and that's I have a unique one, because a lot of people, I don't know, it's very unique, just because having come from being absolutely poor to where I'm now, my relationship is a little different. A lot of people have a hard time understanding. Like I bought a woman a first class ticket with me to Bali, and she didn't appreciate it. And I was like, do you know, my mother never had more than $600 in the bank.
Yeah, you gotta appreciate.
And here I'm spending $50,000 getting you, to Bali, and you don't appreciate it. Like I can't. I don't understand it. So anyway, so it's tough. And then. Anyway, I could go on forever about this.
What do you say to someone who says, "Well, you look at a relationship as a business, like a marriage or a partnership or whatever, as a business. Maybe they think that doesn't sound so, loving or I don't know, the right thing." What do you say to someone like that?
It's definitely not The Notebook. When I write my romance novel, it's definitely not going to look like The Notebook.
Sure. What do you say to someone, though, who's like, "Oh, that's not the way you should think about relationships as a business"?
I know. I listen to people, and believe me, when you're on social media, you get lots of advice on the subject. And frankly, as of right now, it has served me well. I would tell you, I am fulfilled. I have an element that I'd like to add to my fulfillment, and I think I'll be even more fulfilled. But I'm happy, right? I'm happy. Today I woke up, I went on a hike with one of my dear friends. I got a great workout in. I got a swim in with my son. I got him off to school. I had a fantastic meal. I'm sitting here talking to you. Right. I'm helping people change, their lives. I mean, I have a great life, right? And I'm able to feel very fulfilled. I know that I'll have an amplification effect, but I'm not searching for it.
Sure.
I just know that I have to become the person that I need to become, and I need to be exposed to the person that is the right person for who I become.
Yeah. I like it, man.
Yes, did that work?
I'm going to take a sip to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a sip to that.
This commercial is brought to you by Neon
Cheers.
Energy Drink.
I like this stuff. Okay, final few questions.
All right.
I always feel like I could go like 2-3 hours.
Yeah, man.
Because we have these conversations off camera all the time, and I just feel like we never get to resolve anything. Like it's constantly like learning and sharing and discussing. I know we will. You got to write a book before 6 years.
Yeah. You know what? I did just before we go. I realized I'm alive again. I had no idea when I put the pen down on Nothing to Lose that my art, the way I express myself, the way I resolve conflict, the way I kind of rationalize, and then understand perhaps bad decisions, that's through writing. So I'm committed to continuing the writing process this time around. I don't know how long it's going to take for the next one to come out, but I could tell you this. I'm an author, I'm a writer, and this is my art.
That's cool, man.
Yeah,
you've done great stuff, and everyone needs to get the book.
Thank you.
Final few questions. What are you most grateful for in your life recently?
My son the other day told me, my friend Rich Paula is at my house. I'm giving my son a lesson. He grabs the camera and takes a picture, or puts it on camera. I have no idea. And my son's sitting on top of my kitchen counter, and I'm sitting there at the computer, and he's showing me something on the computer, and it's scary images from Five Nights at Freddy's, which is like these really scary things. And I'm like, wow, this is scary. And he goes, you told me to face my fears, and so I'm facing my fears. And it was the cutest thing in the world. And I was like, wow, like if all he learns is face your fears, right? So I was like, I'm grateful to Rich for capturing it. I'm grateful to Reagan for actually hearing the words that I said and applying them.
Sure.
And that's on the family level. On the business level, Gerard Adams started Elite Daily after reading my book. Right, like and like he gave me a testimony that he read the book, started Elite Daily. I invest in the company, and like he's a lifelong friend, and so I'm grateful, that people like him reach out to me, with their business plans, and put me in a position where I can be like their Sean Parker to Mark Zuckerberg, right? Like that's who I want to be as a venture capitalist. Is I want to find the next Gerard out there that the other VCs won't see or don't understand, because I'm a guy's guy and a man of the people, so to speak, and I'm happy to tell them what I would do if I were them. And so I'm just grateful to the inbound people that invite me to look at their companies and seek my advice so that I can help them do the same thing I would want, which is I give them the same advice I would ask for.
That's great. This is called the 3 Truths. I don't know if I asked you this last time. Did I?
I don't remember.
I don't think I did. It's called the 3 Truths. I ask everyone at the end this question. Let's say it's the final day for you many years from now. All your books have been erased from time.
All right.
So all the lessons you've shared are gone for whatever reason.
Okay.
And you get to write down 3 things you know to be true about all your experiences in life that you would pass on to your family and the rest of the world. And these will be the only 3 things that they read about you as your beliefs, truths, values.
Got it.
Yes.
1, learn the rules so you can break them like an artist. That's Picasso.
Okay.
Learn the rules so you can break them like an artist. That's 1. Number 2, family first. Right now, my business is a family, so I integrate that in the same thing. Right, because since I didn't have family, I see you as family. Like you're my brother. I've got probably Reagan calls so many people Uncle Lewis. We were with him the other day. There's Uncle Lewis. All right, we are one big family. I believe we're all interconnected as human beings. Yeah. And so family first, but your family isn't just your blood. Mm-hmm. Right, and then number 3, I would say. Number 3, I'd say leave the world better than you found it.
Those are powerful.
Yeah.
I like those. Simple, man.
Yeah.
You didn't need to write the book.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's it.
A lot more lessons in there.
I hadn't thought, there is. No, this is all filled with lessons. The last book was about, how I did it. This book is about how they can do it too, so to speak. So.
Yeah. Before I ask the final question, make sure you guys get the book, Rock Bottom to Rock Star by Ryan Blair. This is going to be a huge hit. It's a great read. Make sure to check it out. Some powerful lessons. Buy it and send a tweet right now about the interview, what you liked the most from this interview.
Thank you.
It's at Ryan Blair on Twitter.
Yeah, on Twitter, I'm at Ryan Blair. On Facebook, it's at Ryan Blair .fans. On Instagram, it's at Ryan Visalus.
At Ryan Visalus. Yeah. We'll have it all linked up here in the show notes afterwards, too. Before I ask the final question, I want to acknowledge you for a moment, Ryan, for your incredible heart.
Thank you.
You've got such a big heart, man. You care so much about your team.
Yeah.
You care so much about your family. I've seen it firsthand many times.
Thank you.
You care so much about your friends. The amount of love you've given me has been amazing over the years, and just the friendship we have. I want to acknowledge you.
My man. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And I want to acknowledge you for writing another big hit, man. This is a great job.
But I need people's help, man. This is this is it. I can't do it without people. I want to get this story out, and I want to change a lot of lives.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't do this, for profit. I do this to try to change as many lives.
Sure.
God has given me adversity for some reason, and I believe that reason is to share with people how I got through it, the mistakes that I made going through it, what I learned, and then to help people through their adversity too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you've done a great job, man. I want to acknowledge you.
I'm just starting, man. I'm just starting.
We both
Thank
are.
you.
Final question
is
what's your definition of greatness?
What's my definition of greatness? Anybody who goes above and beyond the call of duty, right, consistently to show up for their kids, to be the best teacher they can be, to be the, to live life like an art and like a science, right? And it doesn't matter whether you're rich or you're famous or you're this or you're that. If you're doing the very, very best, you, in my opinion, are great. And that could be the best valet, and he loves his job and he's fulfilled doing it and he does it good. Like, I see that person as great, you know? And so my definition of greatness is a person that's just operating at a level that is beyond what everybody else could even imagine, because they really take personal pride in what they do.
Ryan Blair,
thank you, brother.
The man.
I appreciate it. I love you, man.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Love you too.
Yeah, thank you.